Welcome to
The Modern Dog Parents. Welcome back to another one, guys. We really appreciate you tuning in, all 6 of you. 4 of those are me. I'm joking. Today is going to get very weird because we're up to our 4th episode and we're completely out of ideas on what to talk about. So
That's
no,
not true.
I'm joking. We've got a good one, so stay tuned. We're going to be talking about some tips on how to tire your dog out after a walk, or if you're struggling to walk them. I know you're all busy, leading busy lives. We're going to talk a little bit about what Lenny was like as a puppy, what we do with him now, some mental stimulation techniques. So I thought we'd go straight to Mel and talk and hear from her about what Lenny was like as a puppy, because we struggled with this. So whether you've got a puppy now or you've got an older dog, I know we all struggle to get them out for 2 walks a day, and even after that, he still nags us at night time for attention. So do you remember, Mel, what we did for Lenny as a puppy and how we tired him out when he had zoomies and that sort of thing?
Yeah, sorry, I was fussing with my microphone before, so I'm hoping that didn't affect anything. So yeah, if there was a little bit of ruffling there, that was just me fixing it up.
And if you see us on our phones, I'm just checking my Instagram. I'm joking. We have some questions prepared today, like proper interviewers.
Yeah, we
So
thought question and answer is a lot easier for us to, get out what we need to get out. So yes, Lenny as a puppy was like any other puppy. Obviously we didn't have much expectations of him, being good at the very start. I think they're all puppies for a reason. So he was good. Obviously he went through teething stages, which was the hardest. So obviously that he demanded a lot of attention. He wanted to bite everything. But overall, so at the start, we used to walk him twice a day. We still walk him twice a day, but for a shorter period of time. So we walk him twice a day.
shorter now, you think?
No, shorter then.
Ah, shorter
Sorry,
then, yeah.
shorter then, because he was a puppy. So we didn't. They tell you not to walk them, too much either, because they're growing. Yeah, I think it's just because they're growing, and that you didn't want to have too much like impact on their joints. So it's like if you take them for too long of a walk, that can happen. And obviously, being puppies, they are difficult to walk, so they're pulling a lot on their necks and all of that. So,
oh my God, that brought back memories. I don't know if any of you have got puppies now or had Goldies. This guy was like a bull. You'd be having to he'd be dragging us around everywhere, and that wouldn't be good for their necks. I'm sure he's much better now.
Yeah, I actually don't even know how something that small had so much strength. Like he had so much strength. And I even see people now struggle with their dashies and their multi Shih Tzus, even as puppies, because they're determined. But anyway, going back to Lenny, so he physically, I think he was quite fulfilled. Josh and I enjoy being outdoors and everything, so he was always with us. Mentally, we did a lot of puzzles. So we bought stuff from the pet store or like Amazon, and it was those little gadgets where you put treats in the little compartments, and he had to like dig them or open, drawers or like press buttons. Funny thing with Lenny is he's afraid of anything and everything. So even trying to touch it with his nose and his paws, he really struggled with. But I think that helped him mentally because he obviously had to figure out how to do that. So puzzles, we also did towels, the towel trick that we spoke about in our previous podcast episode, which you should check out, and we tell you how to do that. But essentially, yeah, it was like we just put treats in a towel, rolled it up, and then he had to figure out how to unravel it and get the treat. So those are kind of the activities that we did with him as a puppy. And I think obviously you learn what works and what doesn't. But I think over time we realized very quickly that no matter amount of walking that we did with him really helped his witching hour or his like hyper self at night. He always had some sort of witching hour after dinner, and we quickly realized that we may have taken him on a 2-hour walk that day, but we didn't do any training, we didn't do any enrichment activity, he didn't have any chews, so essentially he would still be super hyperactive even after that.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that even after the walking, which he got a lot of, I remember Mel would take him in the morning, I'd take him at nighttime, and it'd even get to see friends, is that it may physically tire them out, but mentally they need some sort of stimulation as well. I suppose they're a lot like us in that regard. But Lenny, he's so cute. He always grabs my attention when he's sleeping. I don't know whether anyone else finds that when their dog's sleeping. They're literally the cutest. But yeah, when Lenny was a pup, I used to actually have to do a lot of training with him at night because that's when I find they do get this sort of witching hour. He'd get zoomies everywhere. Even to this day now, as an adult dog, he will come to us. We're sitting here on the couch like we are now. We've taken him for 2 hour-long walks to the park. He's socialized, and he'll just sit here and stare at us and just try and manipulate us into getting a chew, because obviously chewing is quite good for them. It tires them out and helps calm them down. So every night he pushes us to get a bully stick, which we usually give into. We've created a monster.
Well, that's a bad habit that we created. But actually, I'll ask you this question since we're on this topic. But what is the difference between physical and mental stimulation? Because I think sometimes when we, try to talk to our audience and tell them about, how they need that mental enrichment, that we're not saying that we're compensating a walk or physical exercise for that. But what is the difference between physical and mental stimulation in dogs?
Yeah, I think they're both really important. As Mel said, you can't replace one with the other, but they both need to be done in their day. So physical enrichment is stuff like taking them for a walk, going to the park, throwing the ball, playing fetch, playing with them at home, that sort of thing, which can physically tire them out. But mental enrichment is what they need, and what causes them to still have energy at the end of the day if you've already physically tired them out. So that's things like puzzles, that's things like sniffing, licking, and chewing. So that's why we recommend, even if you are walking a dog, still doing some training with them, still giving them a puzzle, or something like a long-lasting chew. Even just 15 to 20 minutes has been shown in studies to be the equivalent of taking your dog for an hour-long walk. And a lot of you might try and rush your dog along on a walk because you want to walk at a certain pace. I know I used to do this with Lenny, and he'd want to stop and sniff everywhere. But sniffing is one of the most mentally enriching things they can do. They're sort of not like us, where our sense of sight is our main perception. Their biggest perception is through their nose and through smelling. So that's what they say. That's how they get the daily news, don't they? Is by smelling each other, smelling the grass. So let your dog do that, and they should be more tired out. But then there's also the social aspect, because what we would find is we would take Lenny for an hour-long walk, but if he didn't see any friends at the park or didn't get to socialize, he'd still have a lot of energy. And even to this day, we notice a huge difference. If he goes to the park and he sees his regular friends and he plays a lot, you find that he's a lot more relaxed like he is now. Because you can probably all see he's like a docile little house cat at the moment, because he is so fulfilled.
Yeah, I would say. And another part of that, funnily enough, and this is different now, but when Lenny was a puppy, sometimes with the physical aspect of taking them for a walk, sometimes I think some pet parents would think that taking them to the park is also enough. And I don't know whether you're the same, but there were times when he was a puppy where it almost made him worse. And I wonder whether you feel the same too, where you took your dog to the park and you've been there for an hour and a half, and you come home and they're still pestering you and you're thinking, mate, I just took you for like a super long walk. I took you to see friends. Like, surely you should be fulfilled. Like, what is wrong?
Yeah.
But what I notice sometimes, and I think especially when they're puppies, is it's very overstimulating. And being modern dog parents, these terms are very similar to when you have kids, right? Witching hour,
It is
overstimulation.
actually, yeah,
But
true.
it's a thing for dogs too. And I think when Lenny would be overstimulated, because there's too much going on sometimes, it's like he wasn't able to have focused play. So a lot of the time, like Josh says, now when he goes to the park, he's got friends. If he sees particular friends and plays with those friends, he is fulfilled, because he is on one-on-one, and he's getting out what he needs, the energy that he needs to get out. But if he's not seeing particular friends and there's too much new dogs coming around, or there's fights breaking out, or there's too much going on, sometimes it can actually make
creates
things
anxiety.
worse.
Yeah. And the park I used to take him to when he was a puppy, there was a staffy there he'd play with that would just keep going at him. And good play should be, short bursts of them playing and then being able to take a break, whereas these two would just keep going, and I think it would hype them up too much. And then similarly, there was another dog there who would always hump him. I think it was a corrective thing because he was a puppy and high energy, to put him in his place. But I think it was just too much overstimulation.
Yeah.
So he'd come home from the park and he'd be so hyper and he just couldn't settle. So I think that is something to consider, is, maybe the park is overstimulating for your puppy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of pet parents will agree with this, that not a lot of people enjoy bringing their dogs to the dog park. A lot
Can
of
be
people are
hectic,
actually
yeah.
very against it, and for their own reasons, and some people are super for it. Obviously, everyone will have different experiences with that. For us, I think the park indoors is great. At the moment, Lenny is kind of doing park in the morning, no park in the evening. And then there's days if we can, we take him to the park twice a day, or there's days where he's just walking locally around our area. So I think having a mix of all of that is actually, you know, really helps with settling them down, giving them, they want to do something new as well. So like changing up your walk, changing up the direction, changing parks, seeing friends one day, not seeing friends another day. I think that's really healthy for them. But obviously, like we said, physical exercise isn't everything, and not everyone will be able to go to the park or be able to do all of that, because that sounds like, oh my God, I do not have the time to do all of that. Then this is where mental enrichment activities come in.
Yeah, so ideally, physically every day you're getting them out. I think at least twice a day they need it. At minimum, I think half an hour for a walk or to the park. And then second to that, you want to be getting mental enrichment for them, whether that is training, a puzzle, putting the treats in a towel or whatnot, or giving them a chew as well. That we find that's the easiest one for us because we're a little bit lazy and we have an unlimited stash of chews in our garage.
And we're also really busy. We're
Very busy.
always working. So if you ask, you know, modern dog parents like us, and you're working full time, you're both working in the city, or you have intense jobs, sometimes just a little activity like giving them a chew or doing some puzzles is literally, it's all you need. And I feel like some people have come for us being like, oh, but what, how sad is that? Like, what do you mean that's all he gets? No, we're talking mental enrichment on top of physical exercise. And yes, sometimes you can't get a full hour's walk in that day, but you can get in half an hour, and you give them 20 minutes of chewing, and that's a solid amount of exercise.
And the way it works, if you're wondering, is chewing and licking and sniffing, they all release serotonin in the dog's brain and dopamine. So that obviously is a calming hormone for them. So if your dog is anxious after going to the park, if it's a rainy or a hot day and they can't settle, giving something like a chew that they can chew on for at least 15 minutes should help settle them. So it's giving them a work or a job, something to focus on, which might be a good point to discuss, Mel. Do you know any tips for anyone on what you should do on a rainy or a hot day? I know we still get out there, rain, hail or shine, but if it is too hot, that's one of the main times you can't. What would you do to tire out your dog? I know we love playing hide and seek with Lenny. That's always fun.
We always have, I think one of the main things we go back to, I think just 10 minutes of training is really good. And this is like, he is 3 turning 4. So he already knows all of his tricks. And I think people say, but what's the point? They know, but that still tires them out. So Josh especially does that with him, where he does 10 minutes of training. So giving paw, he knows how to whisper, how to speak. So we do all of those. And then we teach him to stay and wait. And then we go to another room and we tell him to come. And he finds that so fun. He really does enjoy that. And obviously having good treats, he's always, I mean, he's loving food lately. I don't know what is going on, but he was never really that food driven, but he's starting to become a little bit more food driven. So that makes training really fun. So we do 10 minutes of basic training, just anything that your pup knows. That's really, really good. Towel trick.
Something new.
Yep. Towel tricks are amazing as well. We still do towel tricks. We've got 3 towels lying down over there. So you can always do some of those. Just put some treats in there and let them figure out how to open it.
Could you recap how to do that? Do you roll it up really tight? How do you roll it? Do you layer it in?
Yeah, just get yourself an old towel and just lay it out. You break up some beef liver. Usually beef liver is Lenny's favorite, so we'll do some beef liver. And then you want to roll it kind of horizontal into like a noodle. And then you want to tie that noodle up. You can do one knot or maybe 2 knots if they're really good at it. And then you just let them go for it. And Lenny he loves it. Like he's just constantly scratching at it, trying to get through it. But we do know, I actually spoke to someone at the park saying they tried to do that, but their dog eats through the towel.
Oh my Lord. Whoa.
Because they chew. So if that's the
what
case.
What sort of dog is it? A lab or
It was a golden retriever.
A Goldie? Oh my God.
It was a Goldie puppy though.
Yeah, that is funny.
If that doesn't work, just getting puzzles, the little like puzzle things that you can put treats in, or like Kongs.
Would they eat the puzzle?
I hope not.
Yeah.
So if they eat the puzzle, the number one thing we go to now is giving him a chew.
Yeah.
That has always worked. Just chewing sessions. Short chewing sessions, you can start with 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to make sure that they know how to chew a bone first.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Lenny, since he was a puppy, we've taught him not to have any resource guarding. We always shoved our hands in his mouth to make sure that we could take anything away if we needed to.
Yeah.
So short chewing sessions, honestly, at this stage, this is what we do the most for mental enrichment. And after about 10, 15 minutes of eating a chew, he will go for a nap, no doubt.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, he does. He passes out as soon as we give it to him. He's just waiting for it.
Yeah.
So hot or rainy day, 10 minutes at least of some training sessions. You'd recommend a towel or puzzle trick, depending if your dog's going to eat through the towel. You'd recommend a chew if they do end up eating any of those other puzzles you give them. And the chews, you want to give those safely, which maybe we'll touch on how you can give your dog bones and chews safely. And also, I love playing hide and seek with Lenny. I don't know if you do this with your dog. We always crack up laughing. I find it's one of the funnest games, especially if you hide under a blanket or,
he just
or a
nuzzles.
sheet and he nuzzles in. The feeling of, your dog trying to nuzzle in is actually really funny. So they usually all tire them out. You can see how wrecked Lenny is because we just obviously give him some chews and that throughout the day. But if you were going to give a chew, Mel, I know people have concerns around bones and that sort of thing. Even we've had to obviously research on how to give bones properly because we sell a lot of them and we've always given them to Lenny. Luckily, he's always been like a really good chewer. So how would you recommend giving bones and chews safely? Obviously trying it at the start in small sessions and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What else would you recommend?
So I remember Lenny's first ever bone. I'm pretty sure it was like a lamb bone or something. So yeah, first things first is, I'm sure you guys know, anything new that you give to your dog, they might react to it. And it's not to say that they're allergic to it or they're intolerant to it, but anything new that you introduce to your dogs, and that's why there's a reason why you have to slowly, if you change their food, you have to do it really slowly, it's just they take some time to get used to it. So I would recommend, to get them started on a bone, you let them, first of all, you give it to them and you watch them and you see how they react to it. And you want to make sure, first of all, as well, that you can remove that bone away from them if you need to. I feel like Lenny's first bone was the first time he had a little bit of resource guarding, but we quickly,
a bit of growling, a bit of
quickly fixed that. I can tell you, he was tiny. So at the time, I was like, I took it right back, and I was like, no way, you're not doing that.
Have a treat on you. That helps too. You want to exchange it for something good, so they know they're going to get a positive reinforcement with it.
Yeah, always positive, whether it's a treat or a toy or something that is high reward for them to be able to trade it, if you need to take it back. So make sure that you have practiced a little bit of, that resource guarding behavior, making sure that you can take things away. Give it to them for just 5 to 10 minutes at the very beginning. If it's their first bone ever, that's where you want to start. So then you want to see how they eat it and how they react to it. We obviously have a lot of different dogs that buy from Lenny's Pup Shop, and some of them are gulpers, some of them chew really slowly and carefully. So you want to determine what kind of chewer is your dog, and that will also determine the kind of chews that you can give them. And also making sure that the bone is bigger than their mouths. So yes, obviously, so you making sure that they don't have any resource guarding. You give it to them for 5 to 10 minute sessions the first time. And then if they're not having too much of a reaction, I would say then every other day, or at the very start, maybe 3 times a week, you just give them the chew for a little bit more time, so 10 to 15 minutes. But we usually don't do more than 20 minutes to half an hour most of the time. To be honest, we don't recommend more than that. I think most dogs will feel sick eating that a bone for that long anyway. And also they will lose interest. The whole thing is you want to keep it interesting. So that should be a sufficient amount of time.
And you want to encourage them to gnaw on it. As Mel said, some will be gulpers or they'll crunch on it, which can be more risky because some pieces can crumble off. That's why you always want to watch and remove any small pieces if your dog's sort of crunching on it hard. So what we actually recommend is you can hold one end of it so that they gnaw using their teeth on the edge of the bone. And that's what Lenny did naturally, because as Mel said, he's a very soft chewer, and that's why our range of stuff is suited to him, because he has no issues with these types of bones, and they're very good at cleaning the teeth if they gnaw on it properly. And it's quite funny because we do get some feedback around, oh, it only lasted my dog 3 or 4 hours, this bone, when really you're meant to give it, in 20-minute sessions, and then it would last a few days. So that's what our recommendation is, because you'll find if you give it for 20 minutes, your dog should be calmer. They'll go get a drink of water, and they'll usually lay down and have a bit of a nap afterwards because they're quite tired from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, chews work really well. Just make sure you're giving it safely. Always watch them. Start in small doses to see if they tolerate it, and encourage gnawing where possible.
And also make sure they have access to water at all times. A lot of chews can be a bit salty, or they need to wash it down. So just having accessible like water bowl somewhere near is really good as well. Funnily enough, I was going to say, with the people that do say, oh, this chew is only lasting 3-4 hours. Well, the thing is, right, we're not meant to be giving our dogs chews for such a long period of time. And I think some people substitute looking after their dogs. Maybe people will come for me for that. Or use as a chew to like babysit their dog in a sense. I think some people do it with good intentions, obviously, but I think a lot of people think, oh, I want to give them something to keep them like occupied so they like leave me well and truly alone. But I mean, don't get a dog if that's, you need to find time. That's the thing. There's no really excuses. You do need to find time. If you're going to take the responsibility of having a dog, yes, you can skip a walk here and there because you're busy and you're tired or you're unwell. But yes, you will need to make that priority and time for them. And secondly, like Josh said, 20 minutes is actually sufficient. If you take it away, you realize that they will most likely feel pretty good and they're happy to just kind of settle and have a little nap afterwards. And of course, I understand every breed is different. So of course, you will know your dog the best. Again, that's another thing. You guys will know. We know Lenny really well. We know his chewing style. So we know what we can trust with him. And that's the same thing for you guys. You guys can figure out in time what works for your dog, how they chew, and what kind of chews are good for them.
Yeah, and it's fair enough. I know we're all busy, and even when Lenny comes up to us at night, I just want to relax too, and I usually end up giving him a chew so that we can watch a TV show or something. And when I say supervise it, once you're comfortable with your dog, you can be watching TV and they're just sitting there, and you're still supervising them once you're comfortable and know your dog well enough, as Mel said. So on the topic, I suppose, of tiring dogs out mentally, would you say there are certain signs that you should look for to know if your dog's bored? Are they destructive? Are they panting and pacing? Like, what would you look for as it in terms of what a bored dog might be doing?
Yeah, I think definitely one of the biggest ones is if you have taken them for a few walks or a long walk and they're coming to pester you, they're constantly pacing around. So when Lenny's uneasy, he's usually paces. Every time you get up or you move, he's kind of like on the alert. So kind of like those darting eyes that they're always constantly watching where you're going. And also some whining. A lot of the time when he was a puppy, he used to whine before, he would go for a walk or he was like really wanting to like leave the house. So those were some signs. So yeah, some panting, pacing, whining. What else did he do?
Destructive behavior. I hear Lenny wasn't like this, but so many parents I hear talk about, oh, my dog is eating the wall or eating the couch or destroying my shoes. I know when they're puppies, this might be regular behavior, but for us, Lenny, because we were doing so much with him, he didn't destroy anything. He'd bring some socks and whatnot, which was more cute than anything. But they shouldn't be too destructive. So that's something to watch for. And that's what we recommend too, is they're needing some sort of mental stimulation. If they're destroying stuff at home, they're usually pretty bored, I'd say.
Yeah, so I think a few people that we've met, some signs when they were talking to us about their dogs being destructive, obviously that's because they were not mentally stimulated enough, was when we were able to leave Lenny at home for a few hours, after we did his crate training. But if you are noticing that you're leaving your dog at home and you're coming back and they've destroyed the house, they're digging holes in the backyard, they're eating through the drywall, those usually are indications that they're not being met, physically or mentally.
Their needs aren't met.
Yeah, their needs aren't being met.
They're looking for attention. It's like a child acting out, I suppose.
Exactly. It's like a child acting out. So yeah, those were some of the signs. I spoke to someone as well at the dog park that said they walk their dogs for a super long time and give them puzzles, but they're only walking them once a day and they've got a high energy dog breed. So it's about finding that balance as well. But yes, that destructive behavior post puppy, and I'm talking really young puppy stage, is usually because their needs aren't being met.
Yeah.
and that they're not being mentally stimulated enough.
And I think certain breeds are more prone to this. I know Staffies are very high energy, working dogs, collies, labs can be quite a bit of trouble. Goldies are known as well when they're puppies to be quite hard work. Maybe we just got lucky. So if you know your dog is really high energy like those breeds, you're potentially going to have to do more work with them, or just sacrifice your couch and your shoes and just know that they're going to get wrecked.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time as well is training. It's a bit of that basic training session that you do with them. That's what you need to do to keep them away from doing all the bad stuff. So, if they are destroying the house, it's not like it should be happening every day. You have to make sure that you're training that out of them. You know what I mean? So you need to figure out really quickly what is it that they need, because otherwise they will keep doing this. And you don't want them to do this when they're getting older and they're still not understanding, that they're not meant to be like ripping apart couches and pillows and all of that.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of work at the beginning, but once you have a good kind of routine of all these different things, it will make your life so much easier.
Yeah, I think dogs, like children, love routines. I love routines. I do the same thing every day, basically. And if they know what to expect, then they're going to be better behaved. If your life is very chaotic, they don't know when they're going to get walked, they don't know when they're going to get fed, are they going to get treats or training, that's when they're going to act out. Whereas if every day they know, first thing in the morning, I'm getting a walk or going to the park, in the afternoon, I'm going to get some training and a puzzle, then they're going to be satisfied and they're not going to have these sort of destructive patterns. So that's a big thing is, setting up a routine early so then they know what to expect. And I don't know how a lot of you cope with very destructive pups. I think I would have lost my mind if Lenny was eating the walls in our rental and this nice couch. Funny story, actually. We got this nice cream couch before we got Lenny, our little puppy. I think it was like close to $5,000.
Yeah.
And then we realized, wow, getting a nice cream couch was the worst idea when you get a puppy. It's being covered most of the time up until now.
Look, the fact that it's just hair, I think, is okay. If you ripped this couch,
Yeah.
I would have been very angry. But no,
well, also his droppings. I don't know if anyone else has this issue. Lenny is not desexed and he gets a lot of smegma. I don't know if anyone knows what smegma is, but it's some droppings from the penile area, sort of like a mix of pee and that other sticky substance come out. And it's all over the walls, all over the floor. We have spoke to other pet parents about this, and it is pretty common, I think, if they still have their balls. But
yeah, that's why you want to make sure you have like a couch cover, like what we do. That's his ottoman, so that's why it's covered, and he knows to go there. Whereas here isn't covered, so he won't actually lay down there. So he knows.
That's been the hardest thing with Lenny, I think, is getting used to the droppings everywhere. That out of anything, that is the hardest.
Yeah,
But
let us
otherwise,
know.
he's
Have you ever
beautiful.
experienced that? I mean, it's very hard nowadays to come across. Obviously, like it's rare to come across people who haven't de-sex their dogs. So when I do speak to someone who hasn't done it yet, they always tell me, "Oh yeah, the smegma is normal." I really thought we were the only ones going through it, because I was like, man, when I used to take him to the vet for his checkups, I'd be like, "Is this normal?" And they're like, "Yeah, it is absolutely normal," and it's just a lot, and it's so gross.
Yeah. So, and if you do have a de-sex dog, do they get this? I've heard a lot of the time, as soon as they're de-sexed, it's not an issue.
Yeah,
So
true.
potentially when he's older, we'll let you know if it gets better when we do de-sex him. He looks so cute, doesn't he? He looks like a little fox on his back. He's so funny.
And he smells so good. I was actually like, Josh and I are obsessed with his smell. He smells like everyone says that their dog smells like, Fritos and corn chip, but he has a very nice corn chip smell.
Weird,
And Josh and I are addicted. Every 1 to 2 hours, we'll just turn around and
snort it up.
We'll be like, "Can you smell that?"
Yeah, especially when he's sleeping or it's warm and he's sort of baking in the sun and the heat, or he's had a really long nap. I don't know if this is common for the Goldies or any dog, but we look like freaks. Lenny's our little drug of choice. We just give it a big sniff and we're happy afterwards.
Someone at the dog park actually told me that some Rotties have this a grape smell.
Grape.
And that
Really?
one of our friends has a Roddy, and she says between his eyes it smells like grape.
That is
And
strange. I've
it's
never heard of
actually
that.
a thing that somebody's have like a sweet grape smell. Isn't that
No
weird?
way.
Yeah, and he
So
actually
many weird
and it smells
things.
like artificial like grape juice.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't have time to smell him that day, but
Yeah. That'd look weird too if you're just sniffing dogs over
yeah,
dinner.
exactly.
I do try and sniff Lenny sometimes and act like a dog. He hates it. He thinks I'm such a freak if I do that to him, don't you, buddy? He starts freaking out.
So
Maybe
I'll
that would
ask.
be a funny episode if we did do like 10 weird dog facts that none of us know,
True.
like
Maybe
random
we can
dog
even,
facts.
yeah, it'll be a first for us as well. We should look it up and like do it live.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And
to kind of, sorry, just finish up on this question that I had as well. So would you say that 10, 15 minutes of mental stimulation does more than an hour walk sometimes?
I think, yeah, it depends. When you're talking about mental exercise, it's definitely equivalent. I actually looked into this, and there were some studies done where they looked at mental stimulation in dogs and enrichment. And by giving them something for 15 minutes, they found it was almost like the equivalent of taking them on an hour-long walk. So if you are struggling to get them out for a walk, or like we said earlier, they're still, heightened or aroused or overstimulated afterwards, something like a chew, some training, or a puzzle, they say is equivalent to that sort of mental exercise. Because you can imagine on their walks, they do a lot of sniffing and that sort of thing as well. So, yeah, I think definitely it can be a better option and save you some time.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because I think it's like, again, it is so in this day and age, when I think we spoke about this in the first episode about dog parents being very judgmental
Mm,
about it could be whatever. It could be about this, it could be about what you feed your dog.
mm,
But, we're here to tell you that, we understand where, we work full time, we're
yeah,
busy sometimes, we're tired, sometimes we're sick.
mm,
So it's okay. You're not always going to do everything right,
mm,
but we're hoping to give you guys just some tips with what worked for us, for
mm,
Lenny, and things that, yeah, obviously we're not saying don't take them for a walk, but
mm,
what we are saying is that we have noticed ourselves with Lenny and being pet parents that mental enrichment does much, much more for him
yeah,
than a physical walk. And that's why we're saying
mm,
chews are really good, puzzles are really good, making sure that they're sniffing on their walks, and you just, even if it's just walking from the start of your house to the end of your street,
mm,
if that takes you 20 minutes to get down the road because they're sniffing so much, let them. This
mm,
will do so much more for them,
yeah.
and they will feel much more fulfilled.
Yeah, just think about for yourself. Like if you go for a walk for half an hour versus having to make a ton of decisions in 20, 30 minutes. Sometimes this is a weird example, but I go to the shopping center and I'm absolutely exhausted mentally. I'm not really doing anything physically, but just everything is so overwhelming mentally that you feel exhausted. So they're a lot like us in that regard. They still need that mental stimulation as well.
100%.
So hopefully we answered all of your questions on that topic. Let us know if there is anything else you'd like to know about. I thought we'd end today's episode to talk a little bit about the business,
Mm.
because obviously you might want to know a little bit about behind the scenes of Lenny's Pup Shop. So I thought I'd just check in and see how you've been feeling this week, what's been going on. Is there anything you want to share about what's on the horizon for Lenny's Pup Shop, or
Yeah. So this week has been a challenging week. I think for me, only because we have so much coming up. So we're actually going to be getting married overseas in Mauritius in May.
Mm,
So just trying to make sure everything is coordinated and ready to go for that. Um, Business wise, we do have some products that we're working on, and I've been going back and forth with the supplier, and I just really want it to come already, but
mm,
obviously it's not good to rush these things, so I'm just taking it, one day at a time. We're hoping to get our emu femurs back really soon, which is
oh,
our bestseller. So I've just
oh,
been
crazy.
waiting for our supplier to let us know that they're ready to go.
Yeah,
So yeah, we've got some new products coming, some popular products coming back in stock.
yeah.
But otherwise, I've been loving this podcast, and I've been loving, creating it and being able to talk to you guys for a longer period of time. So yeah.
Yeah,
What
everyone's been
about you?
pestering us about those femurs. Yeah, it is funny because everything's going up, isn't it? Like gas is going up because of this Iran war. They're using as an excuse. Our supplier wanted to put the prices up. I just got an email this morning. I don't know if you guys all have insurance and ours is renewing, and it's gone up like 40%, something crazy. So I think the world is getting more expensive. Don't worry, at Lenny's Pup Shop, we're keeping our prices the same. We refuse to give in to inflation. We're just going to make less money than we already are. No, it's Lenny's motto. Keep prices the same for the doggos.
Exactly right.
But no, yeah, I think as I said, I always really enjoy work. So I enjoy working with Mel and Lenny. We're having a good time. I think the next podcast maybe we'll go into a little bit more about our backgrounds and what's been going on with Lenny's, how we built it. If you would like to hear more about that, I think me and Mel are quite interested in sharing what we've learned along the journey, because it's been 2 years, and I think we have learned a lot in the way of, marketing, social media, building a small business from nothing, and we'd like to share some of that with all of you if that would be interesting. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
But thank you for today. Why don't we wrap it out by the same highlight from this week, Mel, while I try and think of mine.
Oh my God.
We do this
you
every
keep
week.
putting me on the spot for this.
I bet we're both going to say again that it was the dog park. We had a great... That's going to be our highlight once again, I can tell you. We'll say, yeah, the dog park was great.
My highlight from this week.
Yeah. Maybe, what could it be? I'm trying to think.
Okay, I've got something. I mean, it's business related. I don't know how exciting that is, but my highlight for the week is that we're looking into potentially some, like, not the products I was talking about, some new products that we would like to work on with a new manufacturer and seller, and I'm excited to get some samples and see what they look like and see how Lenny reacts to them. I'm always excited to have like new products. It makes me really excited. So that was my highlight for the week, knowing that they're on their way and that, we could potentially be coming out with some new things.
That is cool. That is actually good.
So what's yours?
Oh, I was really trying to think. We went out to dinner for Mel's mum's birthday, and if you haven't tried Kin Thai, little plug to them if they want to sponsor us and give us a free meal, I'm down for it. But they have really good food. Like, the flavor's really nice. Thai food. Good. So I love some Thai food, and they just have such good flavor. It's out in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah, so good.
So that was probably my highlight. I think there were other things. Like, it's really hard, isn't it, when you think back on your week and you're like, what was the highlight? I think every day something happens, but we do so much every day. I barely remember yesterday because it just...
Barely remember the hour before.
Yeah. There's so much going on. Yeah,
but honestly, thank you guys so much again for tuning in into another episode of the Modern Dog Parent Podcast.
Yes, thank you.
We'll see you guys next week.